Welcome back. We're going to check out this next vignette, Six Glasses of Ice. It's a scene that takes place at Denny's. And
or Perkins.
Or Perkins. Well, but I think in this case it's actually Denny's.
It had to be because Perkins was no longer 24 hours. So we refused to work in that venue. Because the leaders of Earth would only go to a restaurant that has 24-hour service. That caters to the older crowd.
All right, well here, let's have a look.
Get me the anti-gravity pills, Augment. For God's sake, you got your elbow in my face. Where's my I'm gonna vomit in this place. Stop if all of a sudden stops and starts. Cut it out, Augment. Cut it out. Augment, you're going to kill us!
Everything good, boss!
Watch out for that cement mountain! Oh, that other one, watch! Here, Augment, they have express seating. We can sit with the leaders of Earth.
That's good, boss! Good!
Land the ship, Augment, without crashing us, you fool!
I do good, boss, good!
You left it there. You didn't drink any of it.
Don't I left a beer.
I wish this...
Where
is he?
He's waiting. Sit down.
There's a little ice.
Get some sugar.
There's some sugars.
Sweet and low.
Augment? No, don't sit. You're crushing my leg. I need to talk to you because you were supposed to bring me the liquid nitrogen or the liquid oxygen, and you forgot. They only weigh 500 pounds, and you could have carried them on your back. What in God's name is wrong with you? That you would forget that.
Group sex.
That's what you always say to everything.
Group sex.
The only way that I'm going to survive, I'm starting to overheat, and my biocontainment unit is about to fail. You need to get me 6 glasses of cracked ice. Cracked.
You know? Fucking nuts.
Yeah. That'd be what your girlfriend called nothing for.
You shouldn't have given her your number.
The right side of my brain is occupied with something completely different.
Ice.
Sorry. I forgive you.
Ice.
I'll try to. Christ.
6 glasses of crushed ice.
6 glasses of crushed ice. Okay.
Okay.
You've done well. I am going to need to have the coolant. You're going to need to zip back the coolant. You're going to need the coolant directly applied to the back. Then you do.
Okay. Group sex.
Be sure to make sure that you pay the card. There's the ice. Give this woman a tip.
Can you twist? Yeah, try that.
What is this?
That is the currency that's going to replace money in our
Really?
Yeah, if you look at it very closely, you'll see that it's worth its weight in gold. This weighs approximately 4 grams.
Keep the change.
Oh, thank you.
1/6 of an ounce.
Wow, and I thought we were all
Times
going to be
10.
Chinese.
So this
This is
is
gonna
worth
be our new
approximately
currency?
$300.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I gotta scoot it over here.
You're supposed to put it in the plastic sacks first. You idiot! You absolute freaking. Yes. Here. I'll assist you.
Either the sausages, bacon, and the pancakes with syrup, and really, the fuck around and eat pancakes, eat syrup without, I mean, something with the dump.
Bad taste.
You can have these if you'd like them.
Oh, delicious. Ooh, so full. Delicious. Good.
all.
Delicious. Oh, I miss.
Okay, we're stopping it here because you had a question. What did you think of the CGI of the UFO? That's some pretty good stuff, isn't it?
Well, it works. It explains what you need to do. It explains where these characters are coming from. Explains how they got there. It accomplishes its goal. I mean, it's not as significant, obviously, as the performance of Matt, the Sarge.
Yeah,
his there's no words to describe it. I mean, his performance is breathtaking. Now, I don't want to pick at your bones here, but there were some critics out there that felt that this performance on your part was wooden, stoic, lack the imagination, that you were just kind of lacked the responsibility and creativity for the depth of what Matt Sargent was doing in that scene.
Yeah, and I won't deny that next to being next to this gem, you're going to see some scenes here that are just going to blow you away. They blow me away every time I see them. But no matter how I might perform, it would appear wooden and lacking in imagination compared to Matt Sargent's performance here. It's really outstanding. And
this goes back to what I was talking about, him embodying his characters, literally imbibing.
well, it is imbibing because he only does a major part like this if there's a event at the Shriners with an open bar. He was really nailed when he did his performance. That's how he flies, and that's how you get that uninhibited edge performance. Edge, and he had it there, and he was just as wasted as could be. And I don't drink, and that makes me wooden and predictable. And the people that have criticized me, and we know who we're talking about here, we're not going to name names. I didn't even get credit for writing the script for this, and I think it's a darn good script. It's just really sad that I had to play the part of one of the main actors. That's what destroyed it. But when you're in the world art, you have at least one of the players is knocking home runs.
So, do you think? Sorry to interrupt you. So, you think that's one of your biggest challenges is directing and acting?
Yeah, it's I used to do mainly acting, but then always I was doing the directing and writing the scripts. And Matt Sargent has been one of my strongest critics. He says, "Bob, you have no range. The only person you're capable of performing is yourself." It's a rather limited range.
Well, I mean, there's many famous actors. You have Tom Cruise, you have Mel Gibson, you have Kevin Costner. These characters, Russell Crowe, they really only play themselves. They have no depth or range or breadth. I mean, and you fell. I mean, that's a compliment. It's a compliment to you. I mean, you're up there with the giants.
But I also wrote a script. I'm always Bob's Republic, and I always wear. You're going to see it here. I wear a red Union suit, and I wear a Mounties hat, and I just play myself. So I think that works. I knew my limitations as an actor, but I wrote a plot that I fit perfectly in. So I think I
have limitations on your physicality in that. I mean, part of the sixth glass of ice is not just a metaphor.
That's right. There's the wooden chilled performance of Bob, However, normally you don't want to put a diamond ring in a pewter setting. But in this case, this diamond ring of Matt Sargent's performance still shines as brightly. it carries, you have to admit, it carried this film. It made it compelling. And I didn't get credit, you know, we're at the end of the film here, we're making a few asides here, but I never got credit in my ad-lib scene where he's finished eating, he's messed his plate, he's dipped his hands in it, he's drooled in it, he's thrown ketchup in it, and then I say, hey, can I have what's left? And I begin eating roast bustley off his just crappy plate. I had to keep every ounce of gagging at bay, but I knew that the part required it.
Well, it's part of the trade craft, as they say.
Yeah, you might watch this and you would never know what was going on behind the scenes, but there's some pretty compelling events that are taking place there. That if you don't watch watch the previous video, if you haven't watched it with the detail that it requires, you're going to miss these things.
Yeah, wasn't I mean, now that it's passed, can't we talk about like what actually happened with the management of Denny's? Didn't one of those people actually threaten you at one point with a gun?
Well, you know, there are several different stories, and I'm not at liberty to, because of legally binding stipulations, to tell you exactly what happened that evening.
Non-disclosure agreement.
There is complete non-disclosure agreement.
Well, we'll leave it at that, I guess. But I just have to let the fans wonder what that was, what that story was.
Yeah, I don't want to even go into that, so I won't.
Well, let's talk about the. Let's see, it's escaping the destruction video, the technology destruction video. It was quite the rampant. There was also some controversy behind that famous scene too. Wasn't there some rioting that occurred after the filming of that in that neighborhood?
Yeah, it was like, you know, you just watched the video of Deaf to Tech.
Ah, that's right, that's Tech. Sorry.
Deaf to Tech. And it was like a virus spreading through the community. There was stuff going on all at the same time. The police had come into the neighborhood because they were busting up a big meth ring. So they had all sides of the area cordoned off with police cars. And some of our actors were trying to go home, but they couldn't. Because they get to the end of the road and there's police cars blocking the road, so they had to drive back. And when they drove back, they said, no, it's not somebody on meth. Well, it's a meth bust, but somebody on the meth is up on a trailer and he's shooting at cars. So it was a very dangerous, violent situation.
That sounds like you're excluding like the reasoning behind like you're notorious for poor craft services, stale chips, stale beer. I mean, this is a riot situation waiting to happen. Don't you feel that the actors deserve better? Or is that how you keep them on their toes? Tell us your secrets.
Well, at one time I really didn't realize that beer shouldn't be left outside for years on end, and then offered to guests when they visit Prototopia. And I learned my lesson one time when I popped a bottle of that beer, and a rusty hunk from the cap was still on the bottle, on the glass. And when I put the beer into my mouth, it circumcised my lips so that they were bleeding. The blood was gushing down because I was not only drinking skunky beer, but I was drinking beer that had degraded to the point where the metal cap was rusting into the beer. And I'm sure that led to was one of the variables that led to the riots that took place in the neighborhood. But it wasn't just that. There was a shooter, there was a big meth bust, and it wasn't just the local police. There were federal officers there. that were involved in whatever was going on there.
Production is a tricky game.
Well, you remember when we did that shoot in Las Vegas, and the police busted in on our room. Tactical SWAT team came in. You were there in the room, and that happened because the person, the couple that were next door, was a minister that had fled his Bible camp with a 12-year-old girl.
Yes.
That he was having a pedophilia relationship with.
But the reason the police officers stormed